Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Tracklist podcast show. I'm Darren Jenkins.
Chris Saunders.
And she's back for Romeo Must Die. Emiko Ishii, actress, action performer, dancing choreographer, multi-talented individual with a blade in her hand. What's going on?
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah,
it's been good, LA's been treating me well. Still doing the blades, and now I've moved on to size, and I'm loving the size here. So I'm going to go Electra on you next time. So yeah.
I figure you're just working through the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles weapons, right?
Yeah.
You got the katana,
exactly.
you got the sai, now we need some nunchucks and a bow staff, and you got it.
Exactly.
You got all.
I've already done the bow stuff, so yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Okay. Well, excuse me.
I was gonna say we should start the SNL 5-time jacket thing.
Yeah.
So is this 3 times, Emiko?
Yeah, this is that. Yeah.
Yeah, third time.
I mean, we don't have to do 5 times. We do a 3-time jacket.
Gotta get her a smoking jacket now.
Please.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Well, for those of you who are listening and don't know what we're talking about, she's been on this show multiple times, and on this time she's here to help us to talk about Romeo Must Die, the 2000 film that stars Li, Aaliyah, and Isaiah Washington, who is of the Paradise fame currently. Before I get into what the premise of this film is, just want to remind you, if you're listening to this podcast, support the podcast by visiting us on Instagram and all the other platforms at the Tracklist Show. This movie is about an avenging cop who seeks his brother's killer and falls for the daughter of a businessman who is involved in a money deal with his father. This was essentially Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it was. Directed by Andrzej Bartkowiak of Exit Wounds, Cradle to the Grave, Doom, and Street Fighter. There are so many people in this movie that is ridiculous. Actually, I don't know how many times I've seen this film, but this was one of the times where I was pointing out people that I hadn't actually recognized until this watch.
I mean, yeah. DB Woodside, for some reason, that always catches my eye because he was in 24.
Yeah.
He plays the president's brother, and then he later becomes the president. But yeah, Delroy Lindo is a legend. Anthony Anderson, this is probably one of his earlier things, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's a lot of DMX. Did you mention DMX? Yeah.
And for those of you who are nerds, real nerds from the Battlestar Galactica, Grace Park is in this movie. I was like, wait, what? Okay. Romeo Must Die was released by Warner Brothers Pictures in March of 2000, where it received mixed reviews by the critics, but was a box office success, grossing over $91 million against a production budget of $25 million. And this was supposedly considered Li's and Aaliyah's breakthroughs in Hollywood, which I contest, because I would say that Lethal Weapon 4 was Li's breakthrough, because that movie, he negotiated this movie.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon 4, I love all the Lethal Weapons. Between Lethal Weapon 4 and this one, I'm not sure which one I've watched more. But yeah, in this one you have they have the wire work, support wires to create certain effects. He doesn't do that in Lethal Weapon 4. In Lethal Weapon 4, he just is deadly. He's just so fast and
yeah.
I love him in that one. So I would agree, but this is his first leading man. He's a hero.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
Yeah. He plays a bad guy in that movie, but he negotiated in his contract when he came to the US that he had to play good guys going forward. Which is why, because I always wondered why he had never returned to, except for in the one, he plays himself. Another multiverse version of himself. But other than that, he doesn't play bad guy ever really in the other movies.
Yeah.
What about the mummy? I think, was he playing the?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Mummy, true that.
The emperor kind of.
Yeah.
So apart from that, and also when he's playing the monkey in what was it? the Monkey
Go,
King
The
in
Lost
yeah,
Monkey
Monkey
Kingdom or
King.
King.
something? Oh,
The
the Monkey
Forbidden
King.
Kingdom, that's the one. Forbidden
Yeah.
Was he
King.
a bad guy in that one?
He wasn't a bad guy, but he was like he's otherwise playing that really playful,
Right.
that comic
Mischievous.
relief. He was playing like a naughty kind of character there. He's more playful.
Right.
Not exactly
Yeah.
evil, but I think he was evil in the Mummy.
Yeah, he was definitely. Actually, he was good. He played good bad guys. I wish I could have seen him in more stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that's just kind of thing where like, did Bruce Lee ever play a bad guy? I think like everyone wants to be like the hero.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever played a bad
Did
guy.
Jackie Chan ever play a bad guy?
Yes,
Because
he does
he's
kinda.
he's always so lovable.
Well, he. What was the movie he played just recently, where his daughter gets killed or something, and he
Yeah,
plays like the
he bombs it.
he's like the Liam Neeson
Yeah, that's not a bad
character.
guy though. That's an anti-hero.
No, but
Yeah, a revenge plot.
it's
And
about as
Yeah,
dark as he
yeah,
gets.
yeah.
So
I haven't seen it though. It sounds like
it's
I want to see it.
actually kind of good.
yeah.
So this we said box office success, right? It almost made 4 times the budget. IMDb, it got 6.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes critics 32%.
They're stupid.
Audience 61%. Yeah, it's not 32. It's definitely not 32.
It's definitely not 32. Is this an Oscar nominated film? No. But it is so fun to watch and is so nostalgic in a lot of ways because
Yeah.
Jet Li I mean it was 2000. It's only 24, soon to be 25 years, but it just seems like he's always been there. I don't know why.
By the way, I believe today, let me just double check the date, but I believe today is or at least this month is the 25-year anniversary. Maybe it was it was probably a summer movie.
No, it was March.
Oh, okay, so we're close.
We're
close
close.
to 25 years since this was released.
25 years. Oh my God, 25 years of Jet Li.
Yeah, March
He still
22nd.
looks young. He still looks good.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We should do some Expendables movies for the podcast.
Yeah,
I liked him in Expendables as well.
yeah,
He has a cool repartee with Dolph Lundgren in those films.
yeah.
But yeah, the film is a nice hour 55. I think it's good for, the storyline that we get here. I think there's a lot of great performances. Aaliyah this was her first movie. I think she's not like a seasoned actor, but I think she has some really great moments. I think Jet Li is amazing. Front to back, Delroy Lindo, Isaiah Washington, Russell Wong, DB Woodside, Anthony, with the exception of DMX. I think DMX is horrible.
And he's only in the movie like 5 minutes.
Yeah, total.
What's funny about this movie too is Jet Li's English was pretty non-existent. So they did a lot of this movie almost with no dialogue from him. And it worked. It just worked.
Well, he didn't have to say much with all the action, right? So
Yeah, that's true
that's his
too.
specialty. But honestly, I really do rate these actors, even with Jackie Chan, with Jet Li, with English not being their first language, and they're having to learn a whole script. So I think Jackie Chan also did a whole thing about before I forget my lines in his recent I think when he got the kind of award recently. Yeah, so in that sense, I think even with Jet Li, he's the same, but he does. But the thing is, he tells a story through his face so well. I think he's one of the actors, even though he does the action, that's what Chinese actors are known for. Like at the time in the 2000s when it became very popular with the action and everything, he has range in his acting. And if you watch Fearless, and also, I mean, it used to be called Danny the Dog.
Fearless.
Fearless, yeah.
And it used to be called Danny the Dog. What was the actual revised name of it? And it's actually one of my favorite ones of his.
Is that the one that they called Kiss of the Dragon?
Unleashed. That's the one.
Unleashed.
Unleashed. Yeah, that was good.
So.
Yeah. So in this, it was the beginning, I feel, of showing range of these actors who are not just martial artists, kung fu, chopping, so.
Well, it's also funny. We did Rush Hour, and in the outtakes, you see we see Jackie Chan flubbing his lines, but then you see Chris Tucker messing up his lines 3 words, and Jackie Chan's like, you see, you make fun of me because I can't get my lines, but you can't learn 3 words.
It wasn't. It was
Yeah.
like two words the same.
Yeah.
So that's why we love Jackie. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, just jumping into this film, like honestly, for me, it starts with the soundtrack. The opening track with DMX, First I'm Gonna Crawl. For some reason, I don't know why it is. It just gets me right into the film. Right, you're going right from the WB logo, and the music starts playing, and then you go into the opening credits with the car driving from to a club. Right, it's just, and you got you do have some of the Asian instrumentation, the Chinese instrumentation in there, blended with the hip hop sound. It's perfect. It's perfect because that's what this is. It's a blend of those two cultures.
Shout outs to the music composers for this, Stanley Clark and Timbaland. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I was watching.
How much he was involved in the producing. There's so many. All of them are pretty much by Timbaland. I didn't realize.
Yeah. I mean,
and also Missy Elliott.
Oh yeah.
She made an appearance, one of them, I think, in the videos. But yeah, Are You Feeling Me? I think it was written by Missy and Timbaland.
I already showed the DVD here, kids. A DVD is a disc that you would put into a play. No. But they had some, I like to own the DVDs because they had a making of video documentary. And specifically, they described it as a hip hop kung fu movie, right? So,
yeah.
And you get a lot of that with the music, obviously with the acting, and then like those merging of worlds, right? Instead of Romeo Must Die, with the Capulets and the Montagues, you get like the black gang and then the Chinese gang. I think it meshes really well. Yeah, it's not the best movie, but this is definitely a very enjoyable film.
Yeah. The music brings you in, and then you stay. It's like the music attracts you, and then the action keeps you riveted.
Yeah, and also like bearing in mind, like 2000 was the time where all the dance films are coming in as well. And Honey. So apparently, I don't know if this is true, but in that film Honey, Aaliyah was originally supposed to be casted for that.
Yeah,
after she passed away, then it was Jessica Alba. And it's that combination of when all those dance films, they Bring It On and everything were coming in. So that whole combination of the dance and the martial arts is like a new kind of thing that they're bringing in here. But with the hip hop, even more so, because that was like crazy back then. With like, and I think they've got a bit of, I think it was We At It Again, and again by Timbaland and I don't know if I'm going to butcher this name, Margu. Yeah,
I actually don't know.
Yeah, the video. If you watch the video, there's a lot of trumping and fighting in that as well, like by women. So they're introducing that crump, and then Missy appears in that as well. So I was interested in looking at the reference between Romeo Must Die and the choice of the music that they use, but also to see the music video of the actual tracks as well, because then you see like that correlation, why they brought it into Romeo Must Die as well, which is really, I mean, yeah, it seems really fascinating. Very, of the
That's what I found. That's what I found interesting about Try Again is they had Jet Li in that video, doing some martial arts moves, right? And that connection between martial arts and dance, right? Like, I don't know if people talk about it that much, but it is this like beautiful parallel between the two.
I love that song. That's like one of my like top songs I used to like listen to back then. And I even have a dance routine that I actually was dancing. That was like one of my first hip hop shows that I did, and that song was my first like hip hop song that I watched. Yeah.
Do you have the video that you can share with us?
I do actually, but I think the sound's gone. But yeah, I literally found it because when you brought this film up, I was, oh my god, I remember that song. It's just, that was like my jam back then. But
I don't know how many times I've listened to that song. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Aaliyah was supposed to be in Honey. She was also supposed to be, she was considered for the original Romeo and Juliet, 1996.
Yes.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
She was also supposed to be in Cradle to Grave too, as well.
Wow.
Did we mention that we mentioned Lethal Weapon 4, which is also produced by Joel Silver, just like this film.
Yeah.
Joel Silver.
Yeah, Joel Silver.
That's my dog.
He has his own wing in the Cinema Hall of Fame, action especially.
But yeah, so I will say this. I love First I'm Gonna Crawl, but then like the song This Is a Test by Shantae Moore, and like when they're in the club, I didn't feel like I'd be listening to that in the club, man. That might be the odd man out in this soundtrack. I mean, well, in context, not because it's a bad song, just in context of the scene it was in, I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here.
Like it seemed like that was a great moment to put a DMX song in there.
Well, I guess they just had a DMX. They didn't want to go DMX, but it's a great time to have an Aaliyah song too.
Yeah, that's true too. It was not like she had a shortage of songs out. I mean, she was crushing in the
How many songs does she have in this soundtrack? Like five?
I think
five,
it was
4, 5,
four. I think it was four.
4.
What they said
So
in Wikipedia. I don't know. I think it was four.
I don't wanna. Are you feeling me? Try
try
again.
again.
What's the last one? There's another one. I can't remember what it was. Come back
Trying to check this
in
out.
one piece.
Oh yeah, back in one piece.
I love that song.
Mm-hmm. I have questions about that one for maybe maybe a little later. Yeah, back in one piece. I thought there was more than, but yeah. So that Chantal, it's not a bad song. It just didn't seem to fit for me.
Yeah.
And then I'm saying like this is a very interesting film, but there are some critiques that need to be made.
Yeah, it's not without fault. Go
It
for it.
was like the one that the bouncer at the front door, like the bouncer that comes and talks to Han's brother. Why does he start quoting amazing like scripture? Like he's like, you know, Amazing Grace. Well, you sure as hell must be lost, because you. Like, I'm like, just why are you beating around the bush with this? Like you're just trying to have like a catchphrase or something. I'm like, dude, just tell him to leave.
Why'd they let him in the first place? That's what
Yeah,
I'm trying to
how
say.
did he get in? And like, why are you upset now? Yeah, it's just.
It's like I remember the club. I remember if they didn't want you in, you not getting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that rubbed me the wrong way, and also his delivery was pretty terrible. So
It wasn't. I feel like that dude is somebody, and I can't remember who he is. He's a rapper or something.
who, the bouncer?
Yeah, I didn't have a
I don't
chance to
remember.
look him up, but I'm going to detect.
Well, then his delivery should be much better in that case.
Should be, but you know.
And then you already mentioned DMX. Like I'm not gonna beat him down. Rest in peace, amazing rapper. But
Yeah.
his delivery was also. But I had a question for Emiko.
Mm.
So in that scene, when Russell Wong gets there, Kai does his 1-2 flying kick he does. I mean, he's obviously using like wires for that. I
Yeah.
mean, what are your thoughts on the usage of the wires in these fight scenes in
Well,
this
to be
film?
honest, like that was I think the beginning, and I think if I remember correctly, with the this is the first time that they brought the X-ray choreography and
Mm-hmm.
fighting, and the
Yeah.
stunt coordinator as well. He wanted to make use of it because I think a lot of people are getting bored of the films. I think the producer mentioned that he was getting very bored of like the films that were coming out, and he wanted that fusion. And they actually did get the audience to watch this kind of new style of fighting, and it got really well received by the American audience, which is why they did it. And I think wires are good, but I think the only thing is Jet Li didn't need. Jet Li didn't need as many of that because he's already skilled as it is. It was just
Yeah.
I find it naff when I know that these martial artists are good without it. But
Yeah.
I think it was just stylistically that's what they were going for, so they had to make it cohesive throughout. Like even with the very end fight, like when he gets the final part where he gets kicked in the head, and then you see that X-ray vision of the breaking of the spine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, even with that kick, wasn't the most powerful. And I've seen, if you watch, Fearless or Unleashed, you
Yeah.
know his caliber. He can do like flying 540 kicks and everything.
Yeah.
So they could have used that, but I think it was a stylistic choice because they were testing it out with the American audience, and this was the first time that they were using this X-ray choreography, stunt choreography.
Yeah.
But so like later the same year, actually, December, Crouching
Yeah.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon comes out.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the use of, I'm guessing those are wires too. But so for me, I think it was more the setting, right? This is
Yeah.
Romeo Must Die is a very contemporary film, and I think at the time I enjoyed it, but like watching it now is a little off-putting to have them using the wires.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're watching Crouching Tiger, right, it's set in this kind of ancient setting and mystical setting, and it just works better there in that context.
Yeah. Well, funny, the fight choreographer is by Corey Yuen, who also was in Fist of Fury
Yeah.
as well with Bruce Lee. Again, I agree with you. I mean, stylistically for like Crouching Tiger and Hero, that really suits because it's got the ethereal feel. The wires work. but here it's supposed to be more dynamic. It's supposed to be more like, the streets, and everything. So we would have wanted more of that raw fighting, like you see in Gangs of London and things like that. But again, I think it was because of the time they were just like experimenting.
Yeah.
Doesn't ruin the film for me. It's just noticeable. And speaking of Russell Wong, by the way, have you heard? I guess it was a made-for-TV series called Vanishing Son.
Vanishing Son, my son, Vanishing Son.
And I remember absolutely loving. I saw it on TV. They would play it back to back. There was 4 movies.
Yeah.
I've multiple times since then have tried to find these films.
You can't find the TV shows.
You can't find it.
Yeah. I don't know. So.
Do I have to contact? I don't even know what TV station was on. Do I have to contact?
It was on Channel 11.
Oh, it was WPIX?
That's PIX. And from what I understand, it is stuck in limbo, rights-wise, because Channel 11 was bought not long after the series went down by another outside, which ends up becoming the WB. And so it's stuck in limbo right now.
You see the connection that was just made? And Romeo Must Die was produced by WB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Russell is I know Russell. I've had this conversation kind of with him before, and
he can't get a copy for us.
I would love it. That's how I came. I mean, he's like one of my favorite actors, and I came across him because of that show.
Russell, I fucking love those movies. I want to see them again before I die.
Yeah.
Hook a brother up. Yeah.
You could probably find them. You might be able to find an episode or 2 on YouTube.
I swear to God, I just Googled it and like nothing comes up. So it's a little depressing.
Yeah, it was a good show, man. It was kind of ahead of its time. And what's cool is a lot of the people who worked on that show, like from fight choreographing, are like seated throughout Hollywood right now. So it's kind of cool.
Never mind, I might have found it.
There you go.
Oh, we'll check that out later. So yeah, but like I said, I think this was going back to Romeo Must Die. Like, loved Russell Wong in this. Like, because if you watch Vanishing Son, he's the heroic actor or character. And in this, very ambiguous. I mean, he works for a gang, so
yeah,
technically bad guy.
Yeah,
but he has this friendship or repartee with Han. Right, they do that little sparring session that's pretty fun and right. So, but inevitably he is a villain. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think Aaliyah's like first outing. I think she's pretty serviceable in this movie.
Yeah, could have been worse. Like, because she didn't really have any experience. Not like she was doing a lot of stuff, and she's in almost every scene. So that means she's carrying a lot of the weight of the film. So that's a pretty big matzo ball to kind of have to be responsible for.
And she actually did get good reviews from the critics as well. People were saying, some people, I think if I'm like literally looking at some of like the New York Times called the movie dreary, but they really liked Aaliyah's acting. When Jet Li's not in there, they find that it was like boring. So in that sense, like, she actually received good praise for her role. So like you said, I think she is carrying it, and considering that this was pretty much her first film that she's done, and it was the only film that was released during the time when she was living, I think that was good. And it says that in her earlier life, she wanted to go into acting when she played, I think, Annie in a play at school.
Annie.
That's kind of triggered her urge to become a performer in the beginning.
Mm.
And one of the scenes later on, I found on IMDb, when she's telling the story about her brother and her mom, and she's crying in that scene. Apparently, those were real tears. She just thought about her grandmother's death and used that. So right, like that's a trick, I've heard the actors use.
Yeah, method.
But but a lot of actors don't seem to do that, right? You just like do a little dropper in your eye and
Get some menthol, rub it underneath your eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
exhausting. That's why, at the end of the day, like crying, doing these kind of scenes, it's exhausting emotionally. And when
Yeah,
you're doing like a wide shot then and going into closer, 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 and then, you're trying to save it up for that moment. So,
yeah.
yeah, no,
And
it
heaven
must,
forbid you don't get that scene right away, and you have to do multiple takes. Like, oh come
exactly.
on, man.
Exactly. What did you think about, like, in terms of, because there was talks about the kissing scene at the end, whether, Aaliyah and Lee, should kiss at the end, and they did. They actually did two versions of the ending. But how?
Hmm. I will tell you, this screen chemistry between her and Lee to me felt
Mm,
genuine, which was interesting. But it reminded me of Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington in The Pelican Brief. Because in that movie, Denzel purposely made sure that there was not going to be any physical relationship between them because he didn't want to like abandon some of his fans. But the similarity in these two is that they kind of had to work around that, like that the should we, shouldn't we kind of a thing. And I think the choice they made was fine. Like
yeah.
I think there was enough screen chemistry that like it was enough screen chemistry that made you feel like there was a relationship, but not too much to make you feel like they were forcing them together.
Mm.
So I could do either way. I think it was like a kiss would be interesting. I would have been like, okay, all right. It's Romeo and Juliet. That's where you're supposed to be anyway.
Yeah,
But
I guess.
it didn't bother me that it didn't.
And it's really interesting to hear, like, how audience take it, because of course culturally it's more cultural conservatism. China doesn't, in general, East Asian films or Asian films, we don't do the
Usually,
the
right?
the
Yeah.
touching or much touching, and it's actually in some places it's banned to do
Yeah.
any kind of kissing scenes or any kind of intimacy and skinship. So in that sense, no, it was really interesting that they actually made a point to write that they did do two versions of it, but they chose not to just because, of course, Lee just saw his father commit suicide in the end. It didn't feel appropriate. So that's why
Right.
they chose the
Right.
latter version. But yeah, it just throughout, like you said, the chemistry between them, it's something that, especially with, East Asian films as well, we don't really see much of that chemistry with people. I feel that Jet Li is the only one I always find that there is some kind of chemistry with his co-actors.
Right.
And and it feels like the most, because if Bruce Lee didn't really see it, only when the breaking of the jade happened, it does it suggest like sexual release and everything.
Right.
Jackie Chan, it's always like very comical, but then with Jet Li, even when he's dancing with Aaliyah, he gets close, and even with the song, it's just, it was nice with that clubbing scene, that additional. He seems more human than just this martial arts machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
and he puts his hat on backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
I
puts his
love
hat on
that.
backwards.
I love him hip hop and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that
and
was.
and putting the pants down too. He was like
Yeah. Yeah.
making it
Mm.
all baggy, back in the day, the 1990s, 2000s fashion as well.
I can do hip hop. That's what he says.
I would venture to guess that this, to me, was, besides The Expendables, was probably his most what you'd call genuine feeling kind of role. Like guy who you could like, yeah, I can hang out with Jet Li. Yeah, he seems like the kind of dude to grab a beer with.
I mean, you just kind of going back to your kissing question as well. He was born in 63, she was born in 79. So there might have been like also concern about the age difference and like showing that on screen as well. She was I don't know if she had reached 21 at this point. August.
No, I
No,
don't think
she
so.
was she
Right?
was 20.
Yeah.
That might have been a consideration in like showing that as well.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole thing with I can't remember who the artist was that kind of like was somebody dating Aaliyah, but that was significantly older than her at the time.
Weren't there rumors about DMX and her, and even there was rumors. Well, what was I remember
Forget there was somebody. Yeah.
Anyway, so it's probably too close for comfort. So it comes to another question, which is the character of Maurice, Anthony Anderson, is he a what the fuck moment?
Unto himself, you mean?
Yeah, just him.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I thought his character was so funny.
Me too. He was like the comic relief.
Oh,
He,
he
yeah,
in the
yeah,
documentary, in the behind the scenes, he refers to his character as comic relief. He also talks a lot of shit in the behind the scenes.
yeah. I could see
I'm not
it.
surprised.
Like
Yeah,
when he gets one shot in on Lee, he's like, yeah, I broke his ribs when we did that move. God, better not let Lee hear that. He'd fuck you up. Okay, I was just curious. He's funny, but it's just like nonstop. It's just no
yeah. He
moment where
was
he.
nonstop. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, he was a bit. If he was a real person, yeah, I would not want to hang around with him all the
No.
time because he's just a little bit much. But he was funny. I'm sorry, he was really funny.
It was very caricature, right? So in
Yeah,
that sense, I mean, again, it's that, yeah. I think it's like it's stylistically again like 2000 style film where you've got so many extreme characters to balance the whole cast out.
yeah.
Although I was gonna say, man, I don't know if Darren remembers going to Tower Records growing up.
Well, hell yeah,
And you go in and
Mhm.
you had they had like what he's listening to in the record store.
yeah,
They had the tower of different
Mhm.
CDs. You put the headphones on and you listen to the. Oh my god,
yeah.
that shit took me back.
Yes. Oh, I remember when we had HMV, all these record
HMV.
stores. Yeah.
HMV.
It
Yeah,
takes you
Well,
back because CDs were, it was the thing. I used to get, I've got Aaliyah's like CD
yeah.
back in London. So it's, yeah, no, it did take me back as well. And the way that he was listening to it at the time, because that's how you listen to the whole album, whether you want to buy the album as well, right?
And
You
yeah,
know?
you read the actual the
the
everything
sleeve and the
Oh,
the
lyrics
yeah.
sleeve and
and the credits and all that. Yeah, boy. Okay, all right. This is gonna lead to a pop quiz now. You ready? Here we go. Because you're definitely not gonna get it.
I bet you're against
All right. So when they're in that record store and Maurice is like dancing around listening to the music, there is a poster on the window.
give me a break.
What album or
Oh.
artist is on that poster? It's very recognizable.
I don't know. Knowing you, it's probably Bob Marley.
No, that's Bob Marley.
I have no idea.
Oh, you wasn't. Yeah, you always gotta be ready for my pop quizzes, people. It
Yeah,
was Little Kim's Hardcore.
Oh God, Lil Kim.
Little Kim.
You don't know who Lil Kim is?
I remember her. Well, she was big, especially with
Yeah,
Eminem as well.
The rivalry with Foxy Brown back in the 90s? Yeah. Okay.
she's all over TikTok now. Suddenly,
She.
yeah, she's trying to make a comeback of some sort.
Good luck. Good luck.
I think a lot of people are back on the
Yeah,
90s.
everybody's coming back. That's a
That's the thing now.
yeah,
90s is the thing. Like, people
yeah,
kids are dressing up in 90s clothes,
yeah,
saying 90s words. Yeah, we back, baby.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm
We're
glad
cool
that
again.
that was the time. That was like the golden years, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like we might have had to save this for like the James Bond podcast, but there is something I need to say.
Here we
So,
go.
Darren's gonna hate this. So when Han is searching through his brother's house, essentially looking for clues, detecting, there's more detecting in that scene
I knew it. I knew
than
it.
any of Daniel
Knew it.
Craig's movies.
Why is everything's got to be about kick Daniel Craig while he's down?
Is he down?
He's not up.
I'm trying to get him down, but he won't go.
Well, he's now done with the bonds now, and now they're
Yeah.
trying to figure.
Thank
Thank
God.
goodness. Bring back the old Bond, please.
Yeah. Can we bring Sean Connery back from it?
Man, it is
I'll take
so
I'll
good
take
that
Pierce
I.
Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan's still alive. Let's bring him back.
Yeah, I love
Yeah, we call that
that
what?
was my time. Yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
It's a good
Love
thing
me
I
some
control
Pierce.
this podcast. I'm gonna delete that whole 15 seconds.
Actually met him when in Mr. Chow's restaurant, which is one of like the most famous Chinese restaurants in London,
Met
when
who?
he was making Bond, Pierce Brosnan, when
Oh,
I was a
really?
kid. Because I used to every birthday I used to go to watch a James Bond film because it released during November time every year. I'd
Right.
watch every single Bond film by Pierce Brosnan at the cinema, and then on the way back, that's when I bumped into him at Mr. Chow's restaurant and took a picture with him. He's lovely in person, hence why.
Why did we have you on the Bond podcast?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? I'm sitting there going, so why wasn't she on the podcast again?
Really bad. So I completely deviated
We we
back
we
to
we we,
Romeo
we
Must
should we
Die.
should we should redo one of the episodes with Emiko.
Okay.
Let's just do one of the Pierce Brosnan ones. We'll get
Yeah,
her
with
opinion
Michelle
on.
Yeoh, please, because that was when I wanted to become her.
Yeah, Tomorrow Never
Tomorrow Never
Dies.
Dies. Well, I like GoldenEye too, to be honest. That's always. I think those two are the best.
Golden Eyes. We talked about. Oh, we're getting so off track right now.
Yeah. Sorry,
And
sorry.
and that's my
Tracklist.
fault. I opened the door. I opened the door because there's more detective work in this movie than any of Daniel Craig's movies.
When you say
Anyway,
detective, you mean like in terms of him actually
like
doing detective
yeah,
work?
going through stuff like finding different things. Like he goes to the car after the apartment and like finds his brother's walking stick and like finds a little
Yeah,
secret
right.
place and blows out all the what I'm assuming is coke. Like all that stuff. Calls from his phone, like stuff like that. Like you just never see that with Daniel Craig. You see it with Pierce Brosnan, you see it with Sean Connery. It just annoys me because like he's a secret agent. He's supposed to be doing this shit. Good job, Jet Li. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe Jet Li should be the next Bond.
Ooh, well, not Bond, 007. It's different. He can use the call sign. He can't use a name. Chris hath spoken. All right, I got another question for y'all though. When Han meets Trish at the field where the guys are playing football, why does she encourage him to play football with these guys that want to kill him?
Because she saw what he could do already. She was like, he got this.
He can kick some ass. That's why.
Like, save your energy, bro.
Although she should have tried to protect him. But
That's what I'm.
she
That's
kind of
what,
was like,
She probably also thought this is guy thing. This is a guy thing to do. You know, they kind of, take it to the sport, take it on the field.
I would say that if they weren't gangsters with guns and shit.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I'm sorry, any girlfriend of mine who or does that, that's got to be a red flag, man. She just hangs me out there to dry.
And plus,
But
she
she,
probably didn't think that because there were kids there. And she was, it's in front of kids. Do you think they're gonna get all, that aggressive in front of, kids?
And he was a little too happy afterwards, man. Because I'm just like, look, if somebody just tried to beat me up, I'm not all happy. Hey, high five. I'm like,
all right,
It went
all
really
right.
well with the track behind it. Almost felt like it was
yeah,
a choreographed. It was nice because it was like a choreographed fighting, like it was a football game.
yeah.
And also the fact that he didn't know the rules. I mean, I still don't know the rules, and I'm watching the Super Bowl, like what's going on. It's just people just.
And I found out that this scene, when they shot the scene itself, it wasn't even sunny outside. It was overcast. And they used lighting to simulate the sun, and that's how they shot it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive because it looked like daylight to me.
Yeah, what? That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me actually.
What do you mean? What doesn't make sense?
They can't do that.
Yeah,
It's
sure
not
they
physically
can.
possible.
Special effects. It's called special effects.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, so it's like I do ask a lot of questions, but like
Yeah,
all these scenes are fun.
yeah.
Like the scene where he escapes from where is he? When he escapes, he has the fight scene on the steps.
He's
Is that
When he first goes to her apartment.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
yeah,
whole scene is fun, and using the guy's belts to tie them together. Yeah,
dude, that was a
creative,
great
very
fight
creative.
scene.
He's
Yeah,
just so dexterous, like from top to bottom, then going over. Yeah, it was just really nicely done. And also, it's also his way of kind of trying to get the girl, right? Impressing her.
True.
And she was really impressed. So, you know,
so success.
yeah. So you don't need guns and all that to impress,
Yeah,
so it was nicely done. I mean, when you read into it, I think when you watch the choreography, how it was done, and especially during the 90s, 2000s, they just introduced that whole wires concept as well. But in general, it was very creatively done, using the mixture of the soundtracks as well, the hip hop, then the martial arts, and it almost felt like dance fighting.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and it was done like choreographically. You could hear like each move was kind of like done to the music. I don't know whether they did the choreography based on the music or the music was just laid over afterwards. it just felt, I don't know which came first, but yeah.
And I also saw that the director, I'm gonna butcher his name. Andrzej, is it Andrzej?
Yeah. It's a
Andrzej
hard name.
Bartkowiak? Is that like Polish or something?
Bartkowiak. I think it's Polish.
But he was a cinematographer, and I think you
Mm.
also get that from a lot of the
Yeah,
shots in this
yeah.
movie. Quite frankly, like there's a shot of Colin, so that's Delroy Lindo, the head of the black gang, his son.
His
When
Hans
he,
Gruber moment
yeah, when he and his girlfriend get thrown out of the window, the shot of them falling
was forever.
is
That
yeah.
was, yeah, insane.
I call it the Hans Gruber moment.
Mm.
I think it's better than Hans Gruber falling out
You
the window.
think so? All I can tell, all I'm saying is, damn. Like, whoever, like, obviously it wasn't the actor, it was probably a stunt double.
Yeah, stunt.
But whoever it was,
Yeah.
Honestly, that was a very long drop. That was very high.
yeah,
Sure. And water hitting it that and with barefoot as well. I think she's barefoot.
yeah,
That would not have been, kind of, that would have been painful as hell.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the reasons why they did it because, like, I've seen movies where guys get thrown out of a window into a pool and they survive. And I'm thinking, because of moments like that in cinema, I think he purposely made it longer so that way you knew there was no mistaking. They were going to hit that water and they were not going to survive it.
And this is actually his directorial debut, by the way. I didn't I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah,
about
yeah,
that part.
yeah.
That's true. A
But
lot of firsts for this with
yeah,
Aaliyah, the director. Can I ask? There was also comment on that the editing was too choppy. What did you think about that?
I was going to say that was kind of one of my negativos about the movie was that some of the editing was I was like what? Like it was just too abrupt. Like the cinematography was
do you mean from
great.
was that from scene to scene or within the scenes like fighting scenes?
To
Yeah,
me, it
like
was a little bit
fighting
both.
scenes as well. Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
Oh, I
the
recognize that.
cinematography, they're like scenes. There was one scene when in the car, him and Aaliyah and Jet are in that car and they're trying to get away from those motorcycle people. And as they turn the corner, they swing through. I was like, now that's a really nice shot. Like you could tell the cinematography, the person who was directing knew cinematography, but the editing was challenging.
Now I have to rewatch it.
We'll
Yeah.
wait. Go ahead.
Okay, one second. No, but I mean, so like, yeah, I mean, as far as like the cinematography, going back to that, I mean, there was a few moments where I was just like really impressed. Like again, going back to when Han is searching his brother's car and he discovers his walking stick, and they have the shot. I guess it's like you see the end of the walking stick and you see Han, you see Jet Li, and then they pull it, and then like the camera goes with it as he pulls it towards him, like stuff like that. And then I think this is kind of similar when hands Isaac the check for the whatever this deal is.
Cheddar.
They also put it, yeah, the cheddar. They have it on the table and he like slides it over and the camera goes with it as he picks it up. It's just like there was a lot of moments where I was just like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like it's just made me feel like I was in the scene.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked that is because considering even the producer, even the director, and of course because at the time they decided on Jet Li because he was already a very famous, star in Hong Kong and everything, and they were very influenced by Hong Kong films. The one thing with any kind of Hong Kong Chinese films is that they don't like editing. They like doing everything wide and doing the whole thing,
Yeah.
in a wide shot so that you can see every single action so that people know that, oh, they're not cheating it. They're literally doing the full thing in one shot.
Yeah.
So that's why I was very fascinated. I didn't know again whether it was a stylistic thing, whether there was that whole, this is me like getting really into when we talk about hip hop culture, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about like how b-boying, breakdancing, where it came from. And it was all about, the block parties and the scratching the music. So there was that freeze, that's where you get the power moves and everything. So I was like, okay, was it because of the whole influence of the hip hop style, like to make it all choppy, or because like at the time 2000s was also when that whole editing, the really fast chat. I forgot which was one of the British films. I think it was Hot Fuzz and things like that.
Hot
That
Fuzz.
kind of
Yeah.
those kind of films are really getting kind of popular. But yeah, it seems like they were really experimenting with a lot of elements in this film because it was the merge of the Hong Kong cinema as well as the Western and Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it seems like they were really, really, truly going for it with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to know. I didn't see any talk of that in the behind the scenes. It's a good question. Someone let us know. Someone involved in the film. We need some information.
Yeah.
I do have a. This leads me to my our segment called. So hold up. So when Jet Li they do the fight scene with Han and Trish. So Han can't hit a girl, but he can use Trish to kill her.
Yeah, that works. Math works out on.
Does it? Okay, I was never very good at math. I wasn't very good at math, so my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, if as long as you tell me that the math works out. Okay. Okay, we can move on. We can move on. It's fine.
I thought that was good because that just sums up like Jet Li as well. I think the whole good guy thing. I don't want to hit a woman. Like that's even in general in martial arts, you're not there to hurt someone either. So it was almost like him defending himself through using Aaliyah. So it's kind of more used as defense because she was clearly offensive. She was offensive in her style as well. So, it was, and also was just showcasing Aaliyah's also the fact that, she was, getting on the action as well. Because that was the first time we see her do anything like that, right?
Yeah. Didn't Jackie Chan do something similar in Rumble in the Bronx?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen in forever too. I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah.
God, we should just do a martial arts podcast.
Oh, that was just well, we talked about just Jackie Chan when we did Romeo Rush Hour.
Yeah, that's true. I could go on the martial arts movies forever and ever. Yeah.
So I do like this. It's called Romeo Must Die. Like that's kind of the idea they were going for. I do like this take on it. I just almost wish they hadn't called it Romeo Must Die.
What would you rather it be called?
I actually don't even have an idea. Like it's too. Like I would have liked to figure it out for myself. Like I'd be watching the movie like, oh, this is kind of like Romeo and Juliet, right? Instead of like now they've told me, like I know the title.
Romeo Must Chill. Romeo Just Chill.
No, I think you're missing the word that is the problem for me.
You want to leave?
Check out Romeo, yes.
Dude Must Die.
Why? Why Romeo Must Die? I mean, I know that the whole Romeo and Juliet thing, but he,
because of Russell. Russell says to him, "It's like
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Russell says, "Yeah, you gotta not Romeo Must Die." He says Romeo something like gets killed or something.
Well, actually, no. Like Isaiah Washington says, Romeo's got to die. Like he actually says that later on.
So yeah, you're right.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Speaking of Isaiah Washington, how do we feel about him in the film? We haven't really talked about him.
I like it. Like the thing when I started watching this the other day, the one thing that I said out loud to myself, it was, I wish I hadn't seen this movie yet, because you get to appreciate just how good Isaiah Washington was at hiding his true intentions throughout the whole movie. Like I can remember a moment when I first saw this the first time thinking, snap, no, he didn't. He's not. And I'm just like, so good. Like, so was it the same
good. Thing? Was it the same thing for Russell Want for Kai? Because they're both doing the same thing on each side.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, like I think the first time I saw it, I didn't realize the two of them were working together, which obviously is the important piece of the movie. So, and I was thinking yesterday that they could have gone a different way, which I'm glad they didn't do, which is they could have framed Delroy's son, DB. They could have framed him and then kind of led into them working together. Like they didn't have to throw him out the window. They could have said, oh, he's the guy who's doing all this, I'm glad they went this way, and I love Isaiah Washington in this role.
But they still. I mean, it would have been a longer movie, but they still could have done that, and I think that would actually sounds like an interesting another layer.
That's true,
right? Like they frame him, and then they're later on found out to be like that actually sounds like a good plot twist as well.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah,
that's the only compliment you're ever gonna get from me. I also love the like in the behind the scenes they talk about like it's not just an action film.
Right.
They also talk about these relationships within the film, and I think they do a really good job with that, with Isaac and Trish, Isaac and the son, Colin, Han and his father, like all those. I think there's plenty of scenes in this where they do a really good job of developing those, and like again, so many great performances.
Yeah. And we didn't mention it, but the legendary Henry O, who plays Han's father in this. I mean, he was, like you said, Chris, it was a whole movie built on, like, we had to believe these characters had relationships with each other. And that scene where he learns that his son is killed, you don't even see his face, but you can feel the hurt. You know what I mean? I was just like, damn, how do you do that? How do you act with your back to the camera, man?
Yeah. I think I don't know if it's a movie we've done, but I've seen it in other films where, yeah, you just have the back of someone's head and you're just like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's a proper actor for you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in so many films, and
Yeah,
you know,
so
it was so
many.
tragic. That was more of the tragedy, the fact that the father was the one who was responsible for his own son's death, you know?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
goes to show about gang culture.
And Jet Li's performance in the end when he finally confronts him,
But yeah. Yeah, that was great.
that like defeated look in his face. He had just killed the guy that's responsible for killing his brother, but he knows that his father, was
Was
the
behind it.
mastermind, and just his like even his body language, he's very just like slumped. It's a
Yeah.
great performance from Jet Li, man.
Yeah,
And the timing of when he walks out of that room and he's in the doorway and stops. As he stops, the gun fires. It gives you like that jump scare that horror films will give you sometimes. And you're like, did he shoot him? No, no, okay.
Mhm.
Good direction too. That's a director's decision there. You can kind of tell too. So
It
many good
is,
actors in this movie, dude. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just looking at this casting list. A lot of people that maybe some people wouldn't even recognize, like Terry Chin. Terry Chin has been in so many things. Actually, I think he was in if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. And maybe Emiko, maybe you know. I think he's in Warriors, or Warrior.
the recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean there's so many like young actors that end up becoming really decent actors in that are on TV currently.
We've
hundred
we've
percent.
we've had this thing with a couple of Eddie Murphy films that we did. We did Coming to America and Trading Places, and we did like the best acting we've seen, and like, just being on screen for like 3 minutes. I just looked at the cast
Yeah.
list. The Crab Man, he's listed as Crab Man. Ben Antoine.
Yeah.
He's the guy that Mac like he's shaking him down for his
Yeah.
deed, whatever. But he's the one that's like a fisherman, and he pushes his head in the
And the
bunch of
crabs.
crabs and
Bucket of
like with the gun.
crabs.
I thought his performance within that 5 minute span was amazing as well.
Yeah.
There's some other folks that were like not great, right? We already mentioned DMX, but like there was even some smaller like role, just tertiary and less actors that did a great job too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a really good well cast, and it represented the millennium, you know, the new millennium that was coming in, and even going back to like Aaliyah's track "Try Again," you know, that's what it represents, right? It's talking about chemistry. If you know, it's been a long time. We should have left you, you know, because there was no great beats, and it suggests how like yeah, the producer was not. He was getting bored of like all the action films in Hollywood, which is why he
Yeah.
brought the influence of the Chinese films. And
Yeah.
then it's kind of like Aaliyah being at her first role, as well as the director that you mentioned, Chris. You know, it just feels like because the final, I literally looked at the lyrics for Try Again, and the last part of the lyrics, one more again, the new millennium, baby, and we out. You guess who it is. You know, so it's kind of like it's almost like a, you know, it's one of those films that kind of suggests the era, the time, the new millennium's time. You know, yeah.
Yeah, this is a rare movie for sure.
So I actually had another sort of question. So
Ooh,
the scene where Han uses the fire hose in the fight
Yeah.
scene, they mentioned that like the similar scene was also done in Transporter 2 with Jason Statham.
But yeah.
Is that because and I've seen similar things like that ever since, like just like maybe a rope with something else. has that kind of use of a weapon been done a lot? Had it been done a lot before this movie, in maybe more Chinese martial arts
I'm
films?
sure, 100%. Because I can't specifically say which ones, but I'm sure because that is one of the styles that you do in like
Yeah.
kung fu as well as even Shaolin style. And and even I don't know if I think I saw it in Drunken Master, but yeah, a lot of Chinese films like would definitely have that kind of reference, and I'm sure that's why they're bringing it into Hollywood. I'm sure it's not the first time that they've shown it, but of course they've now adapted and evolved it with like you said, garden hose and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, but that was clearly a dope scene. I remember watching Transporter 2 and being like, man, he's just biting this shit off Jet Li.
So
Jason Statham is also solid. He's also solid. And
I
Yeah.
love
they're both in the Expendables together.
Expendables, 100%.
Yeah.
It's not a full circle. I do have to say this. I have no context. We're not even talking about this right now, but I do have to say this because there's a line in the film.
What's that?
It's at the end when Isaac is like decided he wants to be a co-owner of the football team, and he's like,
Right.
I think it's about time the NFL had a black owner. And I was just like, yep. I don't know if we even have one right now. 25 years later.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, I'm
Do we have
sorry.
one? Do we have
The
one?
Washington Commanders, Irvin Magic Johnson is one of the owners.
Oh, okay.
Look at
Which is probably why they changed the name from the Redskins.
that. Mm.
But
And I
yeah,
just found that out this weekend during the Super Bowl. So there you go.
so we might not have had that information. That's great. At least someone watched the Super Bowl because I saw the score 24-0 and I was like, I'm not turning
No,
this
I-
on.
I
I'll
got
wait-
the
I'll wait till
24-0 and turned
halftime.
it off. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
time to go.
same here with Bismarck.
We turned it on for the halftime show. That was
Same here. Yeah, that was a very interesting performance. I'll probably break it down. Yeah, I'll rewatch it again because it also brought in a lot of the Squid Game stuff as well,
Yeah.
yep, a lot going on there.
It was Samuel Jackson as well. And
Uncle Sam. I mean, that was
Uncle
hilarious.
Sam, yeah.
Uncle Sam was hilarious.
it's honest, that was a really interesting performance. Even choreographically for me, it was really fascinating.
Mm.
But yeah, and then like just the final fight scene with Han and Kai. It's pretty brutal. I
Yeah.
remember
So John
thinking that.
Woo.
Give me some skin.
Yeah.
That was so harsh.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't even think about that. But
Yeah,
it
with
was
the fire, it was so
Yeah.
Hong Kong,
yeah.
Yeah.
It did remind me of a lot of John Woo films, so that's
I was
why
gonna say John Woo, man. All it was missing was a dove flying somewhere.
I was just gonna say then the slow motion part, when he was walking across the fire, that's when he needed it.
Yeah.
I immediately flashed the face off when you just said that.
Yes, face
Yeah.
off.
This movie really, I think you hit it on the nail on the head. This movie was an experiment in a lot of ways. They threw everything. They were like, hey, yeah, let's try that. Okay, yeah, let's put that in there. We don't. Hey, we've never done this before. Let's do this. And for the most part, it worked. So
Yeah. I mean, it was also hard for me to think of Russell Wong as a villain. It was
yeah,
like Vanishing Sun. That's my default for him, right? That's my baseline
Yeah.
until this fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. But also, what I enjoyed about this fight is not drawn out. It's
Yeah.
not this like 20-minute fight. It's pretty short, but
Yeah.
it's effective.
yeah.
Yep, short and sweet. That's what we want.
And Russell, I mean, you've seen him in Vanishing Sun. Dude was jacked in this movie. I was like, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
He was jacked in this movie. I was
Yeah,
just like
these
pretty
two
impressed.
guys are good villains. They were very perfect villains,
Yeah.
I kind of knew from the moment they did the first kind of fight with the water bottle. You could see he was an instigator.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
And he did it well. He did it well, and he actually suited the villain role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it was odd seeing him as a bad guy, but he played it well. I liked him in that scene in the club. He was pretty devious there. So
Yeah.
Actually, also watching the, I feel like you see the respect, like they do have respect for each other in the film, Kai and Han, but like obviously, like I think Jet Li and Russell Wong also have that respect in real life because when I was watching behind the scenes, Wong calls Jet Li the Barishnikov of martial arts.
yeah.
I was like, that's a big compliment, man.
That's
Well, you could tell they weren't surprised that he was able to break out of a max prison. Like it was just he was just in it. He was almost like Superman. I'm just gonna stay in here. Like I can break out
right, it
whenever
was
I
a
want.
choice. Like escape plan, you know, he has to stay there for months until he breaks out.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Sylvester Stallone. Love that film
all
too.
right, I have
Yeah.
to watch that. I'm interested.
Yeah. Then you'll appreciate what it takes to actually break out of a prison. It's not like by choice. Oh,
Well,
let's break out today.
I've seen Escape from Alcatraz and Shawshank Redemption. You know, those are some.
That's true. Through the sewers. Yep. Exactly.
Or
Well,
what's that one that Stallone does where he's paid to break out of prisons?
Yeah, escape plan. That's isn't
Escape
it?
plan.
That's
Yeah.
what you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. All three of them are pretty good, actually.
All right, I gotta put that on my list. We haven't talked too much in depth about the music, so I kind of want to like touch on some of those. We talked about First I'm Gonna Crawl, Try Again, which is like the closing credits.
Yeah.
So for me, Back in One Piece, like it's that's what Maurice is listening to at the record shop, and it
Yeah.
actually comes back, I think, 2 more times with him. Is that Maurice's theme song?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe. Why does he get a theme song?
I don't know, man. Well, I think Wong or Kai has a theme song. I can't remember what song it is. It's It Really Don't Matter Confidential.
Yeah.
Is that his theme song? It plays again 2 or 3 times with him.
Yeah,
Good-
it plays in the
good
beginning of the
song.
movie too. Yeah.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. I love that beat.
That's
Oh my God.
interesting.
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. And we have some Destiny's Child in here.
Destiny. Yeah.
Beyonce before Beyonce.
Mhm.
Perfect Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have any notable ones you liked as well?
You know what song I had totally forgot about until this movie? Rose in a Concrete Jungle.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this is so good.
Well, you know what? Like that's the thing. I think the first times I watched this film, like certain songs, like obviously like because it's the opening song, First I'm Gonna Crawl, and then like Try Again because it's like the end. I never realized how dope this soundtrack was until
It's really good.
this
Well,
fucking
yeah.
watch. This is a sneaky good soundtrack.
Yeah.
So now I probably listen to it a couple times at the gym after I watch the movie. Like this is So Rose in the Conquer World I added to my playlist. There's I Don't Wanna by Aaliyah.
Yeah.
Are You Feeling Me?
Are You Feeling Me? Yeah.
Little on the nose that Aaliyah was lip syncing her own lyrics. In the
Yeah.
movie.
You saw that? Wasn't that who was it? Maurice like calling
You Aaliyah ass looking
You
motherfucker.
I was like, good one.
That's got to be ad libbed. You know.
Mm.
$25 million. How the hell did they get all these songs? Because I feel like
And these actors. Yeah.
and state of the art special effects with the X-ray.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, the director
Well,
must have
then-
been making like $10.
Even with inflation like today, I feel like Jet Li alone will be making 25 million.
Yeah,
for this movie.
that's true.
So
But
that's a good
it
question.
was experimental, right? Because they were kind
Yeah.
of almost taking a risk. I mean, even I know Leah was, kind of, she was pretty much. Was she already up? Was she up and coming? Was she already famous at that time?
No, her album had come out, I think,
Yeah.
a year or two beforehand.
But
And
she
they
wasn't
re-
an
and they
actor. She
redid
wasn't
the
an actor at all.
album.
But she hadn't. This is her first acting thing.
Exactly, and with Jet Li, it was his first lead role in a Hollywood
Yeah, so
film.
they got
even though
lucky.
He was big in. So I guess they probably were again like the whole experimentation. They were probably seeing where they'll have good reception, and even with all of these things, I'm sure they were able to cut the budget because of the sake of
Yeah.
experimentation, seeing whether it works. But didn't they redo the whole Romeo Must Die soundtrack? They re-released it in 2021
Yeah,
again.
they remastered
Was
and
it a
re-released it.
2001, was it? Was it?
Might have been around this. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kudos. I mean, they caught lightning in a bottle with with those two. They had they had a first time director, so they had a few places where they could cut costs.
Yeah, the timing was good for what they wanted to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but do you have like any? I mentioned some what the fuck. I guess I
I have
sort of
one what
mentioned
the fuck moment.
what the fuck moments in quotes. Anything you guys that caught your ears or eyes?
Well, my what the fuck moment is Aaliyah not being phased by some dude whose cab she obviously knew it wasn't. She just got in. She not just got in. She got in and she just rode with him to wherever. I was just like, in New York, that's called kidnapping. I mean, wouldn't you be weird if you got in a cab and found out that the ID wasn't the dude driving the cab?
But she
And
saw
he
that.
was,
Run away.
She saw that and she didn't. Yeah, she didn't get out or stop.
that's what I'm saying.
Who's kidnapping who then? Is she kidnapping him?
She's getting kidnapped.
No, but she. It's not like he was like forcing her to stay in the cab.
Driving on the wrong side of the road.
She's savvy and she's savvy and she read him. She was like, oh, yeah, this is weird, but he doesn't seem like he's in a danger to me.
Yeah, and she was
Savvy.
desperate to escape, to have her like own life, to just lead without having chaperones. Like, I think at this point she didn't give a toss as long as she can get out and get away, and see if she can without being noticed.
Good thing she didn't know he was a martial arts expert, because that whole thing would have been a whole different. That would, or in this, if this movie was made now, that's an Uber, and he pulls over and kicks her out of the cab. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't think I had like, what that moments, but I think for me it was like coming back to the first thing that you guys said was the whole, as much as I appreciate the experimentations, I know Jet Li's, caliber, and like he didn't need the wires, and there were some parts in the choreography, the fight choreography, especially in the last part, was where I thought I know that could have been done better, but I appreciate it was like a first for all. But also like going back to the success of the soundtrack that you guys were mentioning, it debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and topped the top, R&B and hip hop album chart, saying 203,000 in its first week.
Not bad.
Good, and certified platinum. I think also even in Japan and Canada as well, they did very well. They hit platinum in Canada at one point, I think, and then with Emmy Records in Japan, they did really successfully as well.
I was clearly way too focused at college to pay attention to the success of this or how good this soundtrack was.
And the album sold 1.3 million copies by the end of 2000. By 2001, the album sold 1.5 million copies domestically and over 2 million copies internationally, is what
I think it had another surge of sales when she passed away.
Oh, 100%, I'm sure. Yeah, even I started listening to all her like albums again, and one of my favorites is "Miss You," and when all of them came together and did that whole tribute to her, and DMX was there, Missy, all of the artists, the day,
I don't know if I consider this a what the fuck moment, but when Mac hits Maurice at the restaurant and then goes, give him some fat-free water or something. I feel like you can't do that now. I feel like that can't
can
be
this
a movie
be made today?
Most of it, not that scene.
Yeah, that's true. That it's a bit more PC these days, and I think more sensitive.
It'd be more
to those
expensive
kind of
too.
Of course, body shaming. Kind of. Even. I mean, this is completely going off to topic. Like, I'm sure it was allowed then, but even with Rush Hour. The first one, he says, "What's up, my nigga?" And he said that he was unaware of what that was, but I don't know if it'll ride well today, even as a person who's completely oblivious to what that meant.
Yeah. He'd be canceled on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Can't cancel Jackie. You can't cancel Jackie.
You can't.
Although I will say, like, I don't know why this line stuck with me so much, but I used to say it all the time.
I know which one you're going to say. Go for it.
I think it's when he says it to Han, says it to Kai, and he's like, "You killed my brother." was a mistake. I just like the delivery.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would say it all the time, out of context. There would be no one would have said anything to me that would warrant me saying that to them, but I would say it anyway.
That line with Anthony Anderson when they catch Lee and they're in that warehouse, and the guy and Anderson Anthony Anderson goes, sometimes you win and dim sum you lose. I love that line. I don't know why, but I used to say that all the time.
Well, I don't know if you could have that in the movie either, because he calls him
No, you
dim sum.
can't.
He calls Han dim sum.
Dim
like,
sum.
a bunch of
Dim
times.
sum, come
Yeah.
out and play.
That's
Ooh.
true. Oh my god, I did like that bit. And remember,
Yeah.
and he gets, and well, in Retaliation there was that part where it says, "Here's the deal, meatball." He got called meatball.
Yeah.
You let me go, I let you live.
Meatball.
Yeah.
Actually, I did like an interaction between Tricia and Han early on when she gets in the taxi and she asks like kind of that ignorant question like, is it true that what they say about Hong Kong, all you guys do kung fu? But his response is very like charming. He's like, sure, state law. Like it was just very. So I like that line too.
Yeah. It's state law, but I can't hit a girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when after he beats them down at her apartment and he gets in the car and he's like, I love America. Free cars.
So yeah.
Oh.
And he's like rubbing the steering wheel. He's like, yeah, no. So there's definitely some great moments, and again, super entertaining.
I have a quiz for you.
I already won. I already got
Too
it. I already
late.
got the answer.
In the scene when Anthony and all the gang, they're in the house and they're
Typical
like,
NFL football.
yeah. What movie was the dude watching on his handheld video player? You're wrong. Fine.
What was it? Oh, shame.
Oh, it's right there. I don't think my brain's gonna access it right. I had a long day at work. I can't remember.
Yeah. Make all the excuses you want. You're wrong.
What was it? Pray tell, Darren.
It was New Jack City. Wesley Snipes.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Wesley Snipes, of
That
course.
doesn't sound familiar whatsoever.
Yeah, well, you know how.
And he was,
I'm
was
gonna
he
have
in
to
Blade
verify
at the
that.
time as well?
Yeah, I think so.
1998,
Yeah.
98 was
It's so
Blade.
fascinating because this film alone kind of draws into a lot of the things that were popular already. And I don't know if Save the Last Dance was made at the time as well, because that also there's a reference in Romeo Must Die when he is, putting the cap and, kind of changing the whole, demographic from people that aren't hip hop to make them cool and everything. Everyone wants to be cool, and hip hop that time. So, Save the Last Dance was one of the first, dance films that kind of brought the hip hop music in as well, into the ballet, into the classical.
So
I don't
that
know whether it
came
was
out in 2001.
2001. So, oh,
I don't know if I would call Save the Last Dance cool.
well, she was trying to be cool by, because she was a ballet dancer. Now, then she got into Julia because she did the fusion of the hip hop ballet.
You
No,
know,
she was trying to be cool. Got it.
Yeah.
she actually was just on a talk show recently, and they're doing a sequel to this movie.
Of course they are.
And I'm like, why?
All these people, like even with
Yeah.
Charmed, even with the friends come back.
Yeah,
and now Cobra
Buffy's
Kai.
coming back.
Yeah, Cobra Kai, it's I mean, that's been a big hit. And I think because of that, actually, and because of Cobra Kai's success of bringing the OG people in, that's
Yeah.
why I think now they're bringing all the OG people back into today's films.
Well, then it's good that I'm writing something right now that is going to be well received.
Mm.
All I'm going to say is it's a cop procedural show that was
Like
really
Samo Law.
popular in the 90s.
Samo Law,
They should never have taken him off the air. He was awesome.
he was awesome.
He was awesome.
Okay. So, are we
Yes.
ready for some final questions?
Word.
Yeah. Do you want to cover anything else on this movie? All right. Actually, so Emiko mentioned this actor. I'm going to go back to one of our original questions, but the third actor we mentioned. So, could Michelle Yeoh be in this film and in what role and what you make it better.
Oh, hell yeah, she could have been in this movie.
She'll be the villain. I would
Yeah, I was
like
going to say the villain. Yeah.
I took her older self, and instead of replace Han's dad with his mom.
Yeah, I was going to say seen her in that role as a leader of the gang. That would be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like the brother's son. Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you think Samuel Jackson could be in this movie, and in what way?
So he'll be the comic relief.
He's Maurice. Ooh.
Maurice.
Maurice, I want to see him as Maurice, if anything.
My God, can you imagine?
You know?
I would say maybe a little younger Sam Jackson as Mac. I can't see him as Delroy Lindo because I can't see that tender side of him with his daughter and son, but I can see him as Mac being like the right hand man, get
That's
shit
interesting.
done.
That's interesting.
So, question for you guys: if you were to replace the two lead actress and actors, based on today's culture, like music culture, and also what's trending and everything, who would you put?
Darren, she's coming for our jobs.
Yeah, I'm saying, what you trying to do? You're supposed to be with us, not against us. No.
This is interesting because it is pretty much highlighting
Taylor Swift and Timothy Chalamet.
I will not watch that film.
Me
You know
either.
who pops in my head is Steven Yeun. I don't think he has any
Interesting.
martial arts training, but just like the tender side of that character, of the Han character, I think acting wise, he would be able to do well.
What about Kiwi Kwan?
Keely Kwan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he does the tenderness and clearly has a martial arts skills. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Who would be the female lead?
Who's the girl from Little Mermaid?
What's her face?
Her.
Interesting. That's an interesting choice.
Or if we're gonna go like really like out there, would be a Korean actress. One of the APT kind of like, because K-pop's so in right now,
Yeah, it is.
so
Who?
kind of almost like that.
That'd be This would be the opportunity to switch the roles, right?
Exactly. So like the Asian kind of East Asian female character, and then
Yeah. So
yeah, we just
that's a
need
good
another
question.
kind of Blade kind of actor, like Wesley Snipes kind of style.
That's a sad thing. We don't really have that. I mean, there's no young. Wow, I just realized that there are really no young black action stars per se.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B.
Yeah.
Jordan, true.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm just not a fan of his.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah.
Black Panther actor. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Who's that guy? Someone recommended a film to me, and I'm not gonna remember the name of it, but a black action hero. He plays like a military guy.
Oh, the dude who's supposed to be playing Green Lantern.
I don't know who was supposed to be playing Green Lantern, but yeah, he plays a military guy. He gets like his truck stolen or something, or
From Netflix, right?
Yes.
Let's just get that.
He's a British.
he's trying to bail out his brother from prison, and then he gets his money. He gets pulled over, gets his money taken by the cops. The whole thing is him fighting against the cops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
He might be a little older for this role, but yeah.
Yeah. Because
His name is Aaron Pierre.
Oh, Alan, yes, definitely. Yeah, because I mean, if we're talking about Romeo and Juliet era, they were supposed to be 15, 14, 15.
Yeah.
Well, Juliet was 14, isn't it?
Yeah.
She was just turning 14. Yeah.
What about Sterling K. Brown? He looks like, I mean, he might be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
He might. I don't know. He might be a little too goofy for that. Sometimes he looks a little goofy for me.
Yeah.
We did kind of talk about this, but I do want to get a little more specific with the music, which is our usual question is like, what is your favorite song? And what do you think there's a song that encompasses the story of the film?
I mean, for me, it's always going to be Try Again. Because it just encapsulates the whole of this film as like the millennial film with that theme and dust yourself off and try again. You can dust it off and try. You just keep going, you know? Even when rough times, you keep on going. The chemistry between people, you know? Like, it just I just feel it sums it all up.
Yeah.
But then again, that song We At It Again, you know, with the whole appearance of Missy in the music video. But it just seems like that also kind of brings in that, you know, I guess that whole female, you know, strong female roles and that kind of like raw fighting kind of style and the crump style as well, which was in the song. So I actually like that song in the film as well. We At It Again, written by Timbaland.
I mean, it's the song that kicks off the movie for me that's my favorite. Like, I'm Gonna Crawl, DMX. And you know what? For some reason, like, we called it Maurice's theme song, but like Back in One Piece felt like the one that encompassed the story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because like it's just Han is just going out there trying to get revenge for his brother, and like. Yep. But they're kind of starting this relationship that's kind of starting, and like him coming back in one piece or vice versa seems like it kind of also talks about this love. It's like a love song as well. So
yeah,
I thought it was that.
That's a nice one. How about Are You Feeling Me by Aaliyah?
I don't know if I can like that one because I didn't really like Jet Li's dancing in that scene.
Come on.
It's intense.
No, it is. It is.
Well, they were smart. They did a bunch of close-ups so that way you didn't have to see his feet.
That's where the quick editing comes into play. That's where it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite song or another different answers?
I mean, I felt like asking me to choose a favorite song off this track, the track list, is really an impossible task.
Darren, you chose a favorite Michael Jackson song. I think you can do this. All right.
I didn't say I didn't. I just said it was hard.
Oh, well, you stop beating around the bush. Look at this, man.
And my favorite song probably is going to be Are You Feeling Me, most likely. But the song that I think, for me, symbolizes the film is Rose in the Concrete World, because I feel like it's talking about Aaliyah. And she is very much the focal point of this movie. But, I mean, you ask me again tomorrow, I'll have a different answer for you.
Okay. So what did we all rate this film out of 10? That's what it was. No.
I would say 7.
Okay, we got a 7.
Because of I put this on the list of rewatchable films, date killers, if you will. And because of that, I'm going to give it an 8. But
you
there
know what's
are
funny?
some issues. No.
This actually came on when I was in Jamaica last week. It was on the TV, so I actually caught a little bit of this as well after watching it the week before. So, and I did not turn it off. And I was in a tropical country, and I should have been out on the beach, but I started watching the movie. So it's definitely rewatchable. Yeah, no, this is
definitely.
We already said it's not the best film. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna rate it a 9. But it's really entertaining, and there's so much to love about it. I give it a 7.5. It is not a 32% Rotten Tomatoes critics.
Yeah, no. It's definitely not that.
Guys,
I can name a bunch of 32% films, and this ain't one of them. English Patient.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Titanic needed more kung fu.
Yeah, for sure.
It would have made it a million times better.
Couldn't you imagine? That would be amazing. Turn it into an action movie.
But we've been talking about doing Romeo Must Die for a while, so I'm glad you were able to come and join us and help us talk about it.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
What are you up to, by the way? Doing anything cool?
Yeah, well, it's the Chinese New Year right now, so there's been a lot of like martial arts shows. There was the release of Nizar, the animation, the other day. And I'll be doing film Ninja Girl at the end of this month. So I'll be doing the whole, kind of Michelle role inspo, where I'll be the kind of following the master and training the young, students, upcoming, martial artists.
Wow, that's cool.
Is that all going to be in LA? That's in the LA area?
This is in LA.
Okay.
Yes.
How's LA treating you, by the way?
Treating me very well. Of course, the beginning of the year was quite was a bit more challenging, just because I literally just had a knee operation with my ACL, And then literally 2 weeks after the fires started, and we were displaced for like 8 days. So this was during my recovery. And then when we came back, it was just, and then I had chest infection because of the smoke. Yeah, it was a very interesting start to the year, and especially knowing like so many people that have lost their homes. And it was a very, very scary time, but also the fact that it was heartbreaking to see people lose everything and potentially not getting anything for it or getting any insurance for it.
Yeah.
That is the sad part. Displaced has been one thing, but losing everything is a completely different thing. So I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, my heart goes out to all of those people. But yeah, but it's other than that, yeah, I'm totally settled. I'm loving it here. Don't want to go back. So yeah, I'm here to stay, people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad that so your knee's good now.
Well, my recovery apparently is ahead of what it should be right now.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm definitely pushing through, and I'm gonna come back stronger. So we'll see if I go back into the wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, that's how I did this in the first
know.
place. That's how I did this in the first place.
Wrestling?
Yeah, just about to debut. I can't mention the name of the thing, but yeah, it was a TV show, a wrestling TV show. I was about to debut, and in the rehearsal, in the warm up, I jumped over the ring and did an up and over, landed very nicely, but my knee gave way, and then yeah, ACL popped.
Yeah.
God. That's okay. Well, I'm glad you're on the road to recovery.
Yes, I am. Don't you worry. I'm coming back stronger. Yes.
And if you're going to, I mean, I know you can't tell us more about it, but when it's out, you may need to tell us more about it because I am so fascinated now.
So it all depends on my recovery and, and everything. And of course, whether the program, would like still keep me going, because on the day that it happened, they followed me to the hospital, and, they were all very supportive. And I was trying to record myself in the hospital because they might use it as like footage of my comeback, in the future.
Okay. Well, that is Hollywood. They will take it. There's no wasted celluloid.
Yeah, they love a good comeback story, don't they? So,
yep.
Well, best of luck.
Keep
working. Work on that road to recovery. Yeah.
And hope I get to see you guys in New York.
Me too.
Honestly,
I'm here.
Korean food.
I'm always here.
Have you been to New York? When was the last time you were in New York?
I was in New York in 2007.
Okay, so
my goodness, almost 20 years ago.
With the Magnolia cupcakes, I did the typical touristy things.
Oh my God!
Went to Times Square, went to Magnolia cupcakes, went to the Haight. I know
that's a whole new New York now.
Yeah, I really want to go to Queens and Brooklyn. I would love to see those areas.
Well, don't say that.
I'm from Manhattan.
Get us canceled, man.
I'm a Manhattan snob. What can I say?
He's a really big Manhattan snob. But you play in Brooklyn?
I play in Brooklyn. I lived in Queens, but that's why I can tell you. I
want to kick off. I definitely want to go there. So yes, it's definitely in the works. I'll definitely be going to New York again so that I could see it properly.
Let us know. Let us know.
Cool. You can drive the cab and we'll be in the back seat.
Yeah, hell yes.
We can film Romeo Must Die 2.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. We've got the cast right here.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Darren's Maurice.
Like I said, I control the space here.
Huh?
I'm going to have him edited so that it sounds like Chris. Like, Darren should play.
You're going to edit me.
He's going to be Aaliyah.
Who?
He's the Aaliyah role.
Yeah, Chris. I'm the
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me again.
Anyone, you want to stay up with what we're all doing, and you can find her at Emiko Ishii on Instagram, and Mr. Saunders. If you want to, you can follow him at Chris_Saunders_music.
They do.
No, it's still debatable.
That's your one.
And if you're slumming it, you can follow Darren at the Darren Jenkins.
Slumming it. If you want an improved way of life, you come over to the side. And of course, check the podcast out at the Tracklist Show. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This was awesome. And I guess we'll call you when we do the 007 podcast.
Yes, please.
Because it seems like we have a secret weapon here now. That's awesome. Make sure to follow us on the Tracklist Show. Until next time, I'm Darren Jenkins.
I'm Chris Saunders.
This was the
Track
List. Stay safe, everybody. She chiming in. She take my job. See you, everybody. Stay safe and eat your vegetables.